These are Compact Flash Express Type A card from Pergear, in short CF Express cards that I've been using for about 2 weeks. If you have not heard about CF Express cards, they have insanely fast read and write speeds when compared to regular UHS-2 V90 SD cards, essentially unlocking all the different recording formats on the newer Sony full-frame mirrorless camera such as XAVC SI 4K 600 megabits in 10-bit 422 colors video formats. CF Express cards have extremely fast buffer clearing speeds with raw continuous shooting, and most importantly, it is extremely affordable. Today, we'll be taking a look at both of these CF Express Type A cards from Pergear, who is partially sponsoring a section of this video. Disclaimers first, I reached out to Pergear asking if I could review these CF Express Type A cards since I recently picked up the A7 Mark IV that allows for CF Express Type A card support, and to my surprise, they said yes. However, I bought these two cards with my own money. Pergear have no input in whatever that I'll be sharing in this video, nor do they get to preview this video before it is published, and everything I say is of my own opinion. Without wasting any more time, let's quickly unbox all of these packages. I actually purchased these CF Express cards bundled with a card reader since it is a new memory interface and it doesn't fit the regular SD card slot, so it made sense to get it in a bundle. The 260GB Prime card came in a very interesting packaging. It is my first time unboxing a wooden finish packaging, which is extremely slick by the way. Inside it comes with a plastic container with the 260GB Prime card. Then we have this USB 3.1 dual slot card reader that supports both SD card as well as CF Express Type A card. It is extremely sharp around the edges of the card reader, and it comes with a braided non-detachable USB-C cable with a Type A converter attached to the cable. Build quality wise, it has a full aluminium alloy construction, and the top portion has a granite texture that feels a little grainy. The CF Express slot is on the right hand side while the SD card is at the bottom side, and there is a white LED that indicates if the card reader is on or off. All in all, a pretty solid build. On the other hand, the 512GB standard card came in a plastic packaging. Kinda wish that they stuck with the wooden packaging, not gonna lie, but nothing fancy here. Just the standard card inside a plastic container. The card reader, however, came in the same wooden case like we have unboxed earlier. This USB 3.1 card reader only takes in CF Express Type A card, and its cable is actually detachable. Inside the box, it comes bundled with two different cables, a USB-C to USB-C cable and a USB-C to Type A cable. Build quality wise, it also has a full aluminium alloy construction and has a smooth finish all around, and the corners are chamfered to a nice touch, and the sides are kind of designed to act like heatsink of some sort. The card slot is situated at the bottom area with blue LED for indication. All in all, a nicer touch than the dual card slot reader. So as introduced earlier, we have two grades of CF Express Type A cards from Pergear: a 260GB Prime card and a 512GB standard card. The standard card is actually a newly released CF Express Type A card with its purpose of providing a more affordable price tag with a slightly lower performance. It is, however, not a huge difference as we will compare it in the later section of the video. But first, let's take a look at the data transfer speeds in terms of rated read and write speeds, as well as sustained write speeds. The Prime CF Express Type A card has a maximum read speed of 880 megabytes per second. The maximum write speed is around 900 megabytes per second, with a sustained write speed of 400 megabytes per second. On the other hand, the 512GB standard CF Express Type A card offers a maximum read speed of 800 megabytes per second, with a maximum write speed of 780 megabytes per second and a sustained write speed of 380 megabytes per second. Here is an overlook on all the different memory capacity of Pergear's CF Express Type A card. The standard card also comes in a 256GB variant, while the Prime card have various memory capacity from 80GB, 160GB, 260GB, which is the one that I purchased, 320GB, 520GB, and a whopping 1TB card. Do take note that all of these cards have various transfer speeds as shown here on screen. Now, the reason I decided to pick up the 512GB standard card and the 260GB Prime card is because they are both at a very similar price point, and I thought that it would be a good comparison deciding between either card. So updated in the list is the price tag for all of these cards. The 512GB standard card is priced at around $209, while the 260GB Prime card is at around $199. All of these cards are on sale right now, so the prices are even lower. And widening the scope out to include other brands of CF Express Type A cards, we have Lexa, ProGrade, Next Storage, XSN, and Sony's Tough G lineup. Now let's take a look at Sony's CF Express Type A card that costs $198 that has only 80GB. And you have probably guessed it right, the pricing gets even crazier. $268 for 160GB, $468 for 320GB, and the biggest capacity at 640GB for $798, which is absolutely insane. We will also compare to other brands for 260 or 512GB CF Express Type A cards, and it seems like the cheapest card is by next storage of a 480GB card that goes for about $200, and Pergear still provides the lowest price amongst the other brands. When comparing between Pergear's standard and prime card, the cost per gigabyte of data from the standard card is much lower when compared to the prime card, given that they both cost roughly the same. But for double the storage, how bad is a slightly lower performance in terms of transfer speeds actually means in the real world? I've conducted a few Blackmagic speed tests with 1GB and 5GB memory load, and here are the real world results for both of these cards. For the 1GB test, which is purposed to evaluate the highest write speeds available, the 260GB prime card has a write speed of 847MB per second with a maximum read speeds of 610MB per second. The 5GB test that evaluates the sustained read and write speeds resulted in a sustained write speeds of 467MB per second, as well as a sustained read speeds of 637MB per second. The standard card, on the other hand, has a rather shocking result that had me retest it a couple of times, and for the 1GB test, it resulted in a maximum writing speed of 1238MB per second with a read speed of 692MB per second, which is way faster than the rated write speeds. And as for the 5GB test, the sustained write speeds was hovering around 474MB per second with a sustained read speeds of about 544MB per second. In fact, it is even faster than the prime card. I also ran some tests with both the prime and standard card, transferring files directly from the CF Express Type A cards onto my M1 Max Studio through USB 3.1 Gen 2 10GB speed. And these were the test results. Standard card transferring over 110GB file took around 2 minutes and 48 seconds with a transfer speed of 656MB per second. As for the prime card, transferring over a video file that is 110GB took about 3 minutes 25 seconds with a transfer speed of 539MB per second. Again, confirming that the standard card somehow outperformed the prime CF Express card. Now, do take note that these tests were conducted with the CF Express card reader that came bundled with it. That being said, the standard card can confidently transfer data as fast or even faster than the prime card, which was supposed to be superior in terms of transfer speeds. Moving on to testing out the raw continuous burst shooting buffer clearing speeds of these CF Express Type A cards. If you're not familiar with burst mode when taking pictures, if you take burst shots like 10 to 20 photos in burst mode, the memory card in the camera needs to be able to keep up with writing the file as quick as you can take photos in burst mode. A slow memory card will cause the camera to pile up a buffering state where the camera will no longer be able to take any more pictures until the buffer clears up. Writing speed in this area is quite essential if you want to shoot in burst mode without the limitation of waiting for the buffer to clear up every single time. Let me show you a quick example in continuous shooting high plus mode, reaching up to around 10 frames per second of uncompressed raw images in efforts to match up with the huge file size of the A7R Mark V that is a 64 megapixel camera. Each file size should be around 70 megabytes. And I will also be using simultaneous shooting mode where the camera writes into both slot 1 and slot 2. Since the A7 Mark IV has a dual card slot, so I'll be using slot 1 for the CF Express card, and the other slot will be using a very slow SD card to emphasize the buffering limitations. And as you can see, slot 1 that is using the CF Express card is clearing up way faster than slot 2. Eventually, upon maxing out the buffer on slot 2, and eventually the CF Express card slows down and starts clearing the buffer at the same rate as the slow SD card in slot 2. However, if you were to only use the CF Express card in slot 1, as you burst down the shutter button to take about 100 photos, it seems like there is hardly any buffering at all. As we crunch down the photos, the buffer kept clearing as fast as the camera takes a photo, which is pretty impressive. And as soon as I let go the shutter button, it shows that there are 3 files being written and very quickly cleared it in less than 1 second. and that is insanely fast writing speeds. Now, let's compare this to the standard card, keeping in mind how much of a lower performance does it really affect you in the real world. And as you can see, it is still blazing fast in the beginning with no signs of slowing down. However, after about 70 to 80 photos, the buffer meter actually started indicating that it is slowing down to single frames. And as I let go the shutter button, there are still about 13 to 14 photos buffering to be cleared off, and that took about 7 to 8 seconds to clear it off. Nonetheless, this is still a very fast card as compared to the SD card. It is also important to point out that I intentionally chose a massive file size of 70 megabytes per photo that is uncompressed RAW. In reality, I usually only shoot in compressed RAW. That is about 33 megabyte per photo on the A7 Mark IV, which is about half the size. In this comparison, the Prime card indeed outperforms the standard CF Express card in the real world. Nonetheless, both of these CF Express cards allows photographers to have a pleasant shooting experience, and the standard card is still as impressive as the Prime card. Of course, as mentioned earlier, both the CF Express card allows for the highest bitrate and resolution recording format, essentially all the recording formats available on the A7 Mark IV, as compared to if you were to use a slower SD card, some features are actually restricted. And by the way, 600 megabits actually translates to about 75 to 80 megabytes per second, and that is the sustained write speeds that you need to have on a card to allow that 600 megabit recording format. And both the CF Express standard and Prime cards can deliver way more than 75 megabytes per second. One final test that I did, that is to check if my video file is saved properly upon recording on a camera with a dying battery. And I'm glad to report that both cards handle sudden power off scenarios with no problems. Files when viewed on the Mac are not corrupted and has no issues during playback. That being said, with the blazing fast transfer speed that allows for the highest bit rates and resolution recording formats, fast buffer clearing speeds, as well as fast transfer rates when offloading your files onto your computer each time you are done shooting, either the standard or the Prime CF Express Type A card from Pergear offers the best value in terms of cost to performance ratio. For anyone looking to pick up a CF Express Type A card, consider the standard card over the Prime CF Express card for double the storage and almost identical real-world speed. I think it is worth the money. And if you have watched all the way to the end, Pergear is offering an additional 10% for anyone who would like to pick up one of these cards from their store, which will be linked in the description box down below. So be sure to enter code CANLIE 10% off upon checking out for a 10% discount, and feel free to also use my affiliate link when purchasing, as this will in turn help support the channel with no additional cost to you. With that being said, hope you have found this video insightful. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or if you want me to test out anything. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. My name is Ken and I'll catch you all in the next one. Stay safe, peace out, and bye bye.